Hello everybody. This is the third session of my COVID-19 with the corona session, and we are trying, the main thing is, my purpose is that as a pediatrician to help the child and the carer to follow the guidelines and that NHS has provided a different way. So basically today the thing, that guidance that is very much important is for household with grandparents, parents and children who are living together and where someone is at increased risk or possible or confirmed coronavirus infection. So basically for these guidances for that, and there are a lot of requests to just discuss about this. So the most important symptoms are recent onset of any of the new continuous cough, high temperature, and also I mentioned it is a loss or change in the normal cells of taste or smell. This is the most important. And for most people, COVID-19 will be mild disease. However, if any of the symptoms are there, then you have to stay home and arrange to have a test if you have. Now, the COVID-19 is spread by small droplets, aerosol, and through the direct contact. Surfaces and belonging can also be contaminated with COVID-19. When the people with infection, they cough, they sneeze, or touch them, the risk of spread it greatest when people are very close each other, especially in poorly ventilated spaces when the people spend a lot of time together in the same room. Social distancing, washing your hand regularly, good respiratory hygiene, using and disposing of tissues, and cleaning the surfaces and keeping indoor space well ventilated are the most important ways to reduce the spread of COVID-19. People who have COVID-19 can infect others up to 2 days before the symptom start and up to 10 days thereafter. They can pass the infection to others even if they have mild symptoms or not symptom at all. So that is why they must stay at home. People who live in the same household as someone with COVID-19 are at risk of developing the COVID-19 in next 14 days. And they can spread the disease to others even feeling well. That is why they must stay at home. So what do we mean by possible or confirmed case? A possible case in a person who had the symptoms that I already discussed, but waiting for the test result. And confirmed cases are those who had already test positive. Now, this guidance is intended for household, the grandparents, parents, children living together, and members of the household is mainly aged over 70 or more, meaning they are at increased risk of severe illness by coronavirus. Clinically vulnerable people, including anyone age 70 or over, as well as under 70, but any of the health condition, there are a lot of things, maybe the lung condition, heart condition, kidney condition, liver condition, or nervous system disorders, diabetes, problem with spleen, or weak immune system, seriously overweight, whereas BMI is 40 or above, pregnant woman. And there are further category that is serious underlying health condition who are extremely vulnerable, high risk of severe illness from coronavirus, and their family and carer should follow the shielding guidelines. So that is a different aspect. Now, this is the main thing, is that this guidelines is for vulnerable people and who are living in the same household. Now, so if household, there is a question, will the household be tested if we think that they have that COVID-19 symptom? So anyone with the COVID-19 symptoms, even if it's very mild, immediately needs to self-isolate for at least 10 days from the symptom start, arrange to have the test. So it is a guideline. If you are not experiencing symptoms but test positive, that also you must self-isolate and at least 10 days from the starting of the day that test taken. If you develop a symptom during the isolation period, restart the 10 days of isolation period from the day you develop the symptoms. So this is the main category. Anyone who notified that they have test positive and advised to self-isolate has a legal duty to self-isolate. If you not do that, up to £1,000 fine can be there according to the guidelines. If you develop symptoms, and you may wish to alert the people that you have close contact with them the last 48 hours to let them know that you might have COVID-19, but you are waiting for test result. At this stage, those people should not self-isolate. Alerting those that you have been in contact with means that they can take extra care of practicing the social distancing, good hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, and they can also be more alert if they got any symptoms at any further time. And if you have test positive, I already discussed about the test thing in the last, and you will get that by text, email, or phone. And also, that is I provided that information in detail in the last session, so I'm not going into the to that. Contact and tracing surveys, all these things I discussed before, and that is very important to follow those rules to stop the spreading. It is very important that you provide this information, that it will play a vital role in helping to protect your family, your friend, your wider community. It is now an offense to knowingly provide false information about your close contacts to NHS test and trace, and failure to comply this requirement. I also mentioned fine will be there. The people contacted will not be told their identity, but by alerting them when you first develop symptom can help them make sure they also prepare for being contacted by test and trace surveys. And people with symptoms that may be COVID-19 and their household have to stay home. So why staying at home is so important? That is, it is very important. People with symptoms, so it is to prevent the spread to your family, your friend, your closer communities. They will be protected to save their life, to make them more safe. It is a big work, and it is our responsibility to save our community. And those with symptoms should remain at home at least 10 days after the onset of the symptoms, as set out in the ending isolation. Think that after 10 days of this, if any one of your household have symptoms that may be caused by 19, you should avoid contact with other household member as much as possible, and the other household member, including those who do not have any symptoms, to stay at home and not home for at least leave the home at least 14 days. Do not go to work, school, and public areas. Do not use public transport or taxis. If possible, should not go out even to buy food or other essential. And any exercise should be taken within your home. This 14 days period starts from the day when the first person in your house become ill. There is an information about this. I want this 14 days period strictly to start. Staying at home is generally reduce the overall amount of infection the household can pass to the other in the community. If you require help with buying groceries or shopping on things, you can take help of your friends or neighbors or online, that way. So there are also some websites about it, how to use essential and foods you can get. They given this WhatsApp. I can put it if you want. You can let me know, and those links are there, and I can put it for you. And if you are unable to work due to need, and then of course there will be support available. Basically, you may be entitled to one-off payment of £500 through the test and trace support payment scheme. So basically, this is already a lot of support for so you just have to be asking for them. And yeah, I know sometimes that economic situation not permit, but there are now if then you have the positive test and have a person who is 70 or over and clinically vulnerable person living with you, so basically it is best to arrange them to move out of your home and stay with friend or family for duration of your isolation period. If that cannot be arranged, stay away from them as much as possible, following the shielding guidance. Shielding guidance is provided. I can give you that link also. And those are clinically vulnerable or clinically extremely vulnerable should be supported to take that precaution to minimize their contact with other person in the household, regardless of whether others have symptoms or not. And they should minimize that time spent in the shared areas like kitchen, bathroom, sitting area. And any shared spaces should be well ventilated. Aim is to keep 2 meters away from the person who is 70 or over, clinically vulnerable, and encourage them to sleep in a different bed where possible, and use the separate bathroom if possible from the rest of the household. And make sure they use the separate towel from other people in your household, both for drying themselves after bathing and showering, and for hand hygiene purpose. And if it is that you have to share a toilet bathroom with a person of 70 years or more, or clinically vulnerable, that is important to cleaning facility every time you use that about the wiping surface come in contact. And of course a rotap or bathing will be there. Of course older person will be taking that facility first. And if there is kitchen is sharing with this vulnerable or 70 years or more, and then they should take their meal back to their room to eat. If only one you want that you are using that dishwasher to clean, use a dishwasher to clean and dry the family's use crockery and cutlery. If it is not possible, wash them using your usual wash up liquid and warm up and dry them thoroughly. And if the person who is aged 70 or over and clinically vulnerable is using their own crockery and cutlery, remember to use a separate tea towel for drying them. So in this way, that is a bit it will be difficult some people to separate themselves from others at home, and it is have to do with your best as per the guidelines. And of course, wash your hand 20 seconds, soap wash, regularly cleaned, frequently touch surfaces. So all these things you have to. Actually, living with children, it is not all the measure as much best you can do. As actually, children are less severely affected. It is nevertheless important to do your best to ensure that all members of your household follow the guidelines. And parents and guardians are ensure that anyone under 18 self-isolate if test is positive, and contacted by NHS, test and trace and told to self-isolate. So that guardian's responsibility. So if you need any sick, I've already mentioned in the first session how you will go through the NHS 11 online services. And if it is emergency, I have shown all the posters that in the first one that you have to use those, that is very specifically mentioned when you have to go for the emergency and things like that. So and of course you have to looking after yourself. I will go through this or more because it is very stressful when you're staying all the time in home. It is really stressful. So there is of course that support, keep in touch your friend and family over phone, your social media. Also there is Every Mind Matters websites are there. So basically for family member who is 70 or more, clinically vulnerable, important to avoid contact with family members as much as possible. So there is guidance that I can provide you. So that is all this very important mental health and well-being. It's very important. So these are the things that some of the things you can do to make it more easier. Self-isolation period, planning ahead, thinking what you will need in order to able to stay at home for the full duration of isolation. Consider and plan for those in your home who are age 70 or over or otherwise clinically vulnerable. Talking to the employer, friend, family, and ask for their help to access the things while staying at home. Creating a contact list with phone number of neighbors, schools, employers, chemists, NHS 111. Thinking about planning, how can you get access to food and the supplies, medication, all this online support is all there. Asking our family friend can put the things sometime if it is needed, and they should left it outside your door. And of course, phone and social media is very good. Virtual things are so important nowadays, and it is really thinking how can you do when you have to stay at home. You have to do some of the things like can be cooking, what about your interests, maybe cooking, maybe reading, maybe online writing, maybe watching film. Make a plan about it. And physical exercise, of course, very important. So you can do that by online courses or use online YouTube videos and things like that. And of course, a support bubble. If you are a single adult household or adults live alone, or with dependent children only, and you can now form a support bubble with one other household. And making a support bubble, that is also a very good idea to support each other in this period of crisis. I will give you how you can make it, that website also. So, and of course, it is very important that face covering repeatedly, that is really helps. That is, of course, if you are possible and confirmed, live with others, consider of face covering inside your home. So that is also, it is not that it is better to in the inside your home, of course, and wearing a face covering is very good idea. And of course, ending up self-isolation. If you had symptoms, and end your self-isolation after 10 days and return to a normal routine if you do not have symptoms other than cough and anosmia, loss or change of your sense of taste or smell. If you still have a high temperature, keep self-isolating and seek medical advice. After 10 days, you just have cough or anosmia, you do not need to continue the self-isolation. This is because cough and anosmia can last for several weeks after this infection even gone. 10 days POs, I mentioned that starting of your first illness. If you continue to unwell feeling like that, you have to ask for the professional help. So basically, that ending of the isolation is that everyone else, for the positive patient, but everyone else in the family who remains well should end their isolation in the 14 days. That 14 days period starts from the day the first person in the household become ill. So basically, and this, but if any one of the household they become again unwell in 14 days period, to arrange a test to see whether they are positive or negative. According to, if the positive, then they should 10 days of symptoms, and then feels better, no longer symptoms, they can run a routine. However, if test is negative, continue the isolation until that 14 days that previously what was fixed already. So basically, if they in between this isolation period, 14 days isolation period, if anyone get any symptom, late symptoms late in the 14 days isolation period, for example 10 days or later, isolation period for the household does not need to be extended. So only the person with the new symptom has to stay home for at least a further 10 days and should arrange a test. At the end of 14 days, anyone who has not unwell can return to their normal routine. If person in the household COVID-19 syndrome has not had any sign of improvement, of course, that time you have to contact the emergency services. So this is the way, it's nutshell, that vulnerable people and also children's, and with this what we should do. Hopefully this, I will put all the guide website address below. Hopefully that will help you, and you will feel a lot of information. Too much I not to want to give. Next session we'll discuss with further other things. Of course, mental health is comes, but I will discuss other things, and gradually I would want to progress with this. Thank you for listening with us. Let's fight back together in this era of crisis. Bye.